What's going on, guys? This is VinylicPuma, back with another Borderlands 2 countdown video, and today I wanted to talk about 10 of what I think are among some of the best places or ways to farm experience in Borderlands 2. Now before we start, this is going to be a totally glitch/gibbed-free way to farm experience in Borderlands 2, and all of these various farming methods I'm about to go over should work across all platforms. Some of these you may be familiar with, while others you are less familiar with. And with that in mind, I'd like to issue a challenge to you guys. If you didn't know all of the farming methods I'm about to go over in this video, leave a like on this video. And if you knew all of the various different XP farming methods I've gone over here, feel free to leave a dislike. But without further ado, let's go ahead and start with our first, or I guess 10th experience farming method, and that's going to be what I like to call the RAKK AUTOFARM. Now in general, the warrior is usually a pretty good place to go regardless of difficulty to farm for iridium and certain legendary weapons like the Conference Skull or Flacker. However, once the warrior has been defeated, and provided the player is playing as Gage in true Vault Hunter mode or lower, you could potentially use Death Trap to farm the various RAKKs that spawn in this area for some easy experience. All you really have to do is summon Death Trap, make sure you've spec'd for Upshot Robot, and Death Trap should take care of the rest. While this generally is better in a cooperative setting to help level lower level characters, the nice thing about this process is that it's practically automated, requiring minimal input from the player and even allowing them to go AFK if they want to. Of course, the only lousy thing about this method is that this doesn't really work as well beyond true Vault Hunter mode, as the enemy RAKKs either have health regen or need to be slagged to easily defeat them with Death Trap's Shock Beam. But if you want to power level your friends while AFK and with no effort, you may find that this method works quite well. Number 9. The Bunker with Boar. While this is an exclusive zero experience farm, it's worth mentioning that since the bunker is a boss and drops a decent amount of experience, especially in Ultimate Vault Hunter mode, it can be a great place to farm for experience, provided you're playing as Zero. All you really have to do is make sure that you've spec'd for Zero's boar, enter the arena where the bunker is, quickly run up to his initial spawn point, and then aim at him like I'm showing in the video here. If you do it right, you should be able to boar bunker, effectively one-shotting all of his health. After this, all you have to do is simply wait for him to fly around until he gets just over the arch, shoot him again, and you should be awarded with some experience, money, some loot, and potentially a sham shield or a bitch SMG. Now, it is worth mentioning that you can farm the bunker on other characters and on other difficulties. However, I think you'll find that this is most effective on Zero during Ultimate Vault Hunter mode, as the bunker's level will scale with the player. Otherwise, if you're playing another character, I'd just recommend you defeat the bunker and then continue on to one of the other methods I'm about to discuss, as you may find they're a lot less character/class dependent. Number 8. The SLAG weapons dummy in Sanctuary. Now, this next method involves the dummy in Sanctuary that Marcus lets you use to test out various elemental weapons that he's received for the line of rock, paper, genocide side quest missions. Interestingly, if you don't defeat the enemy using the intended elemental weapon, you can actually gain experience each time said enemy is defeated. I found this tends to work best during the final side quest involving slag weapons, as the player can simply swap to any non-slag weapon and just constantly shoot the enemy for some easy, low-risk experience. While this can be used to great effect at maximum level to help boost starter characters, you may be interested to know that it has some pretty nice applications for solo players as well, as the level of the dummy seems to scale by completing main story missions in either normal or true Vault Hunter mode. From what I can tell, the scaling appears to be based on the listed level requirement of the story mission that's completed, +1. So if you've completed a Damn Fine Rescue, which is a level 12 story mission, the Slag Dummy's level would scale to level 13. Conversely, if you're starting hunting the Firehawk in true Vault Hunter mode, which is a level 33 quest, the Dummy's level should scale to level 34. Ultimately though, this is a great place to cheese a few levels, doesn't require any DLC, and could potentially prevent you from having to complete a plethora of side quests that you may have wanted to save until after you've beaten the game. So whether you're playing solo or cooperatively, you should leave this quest open for some easy experience farming. Number 7. The Wattle Gobbler. Generally, farming bosses is a pretty good way to gain XP. However, for the most part, a lot of these enemies are fairly strong and can take a while to take down depending on what difficulty you're playing at. However, in the case of the second Headhunter pack, where the player can face off against the ravenous Wattle Gobbler, this particular boss is a pushover. In fact, the Wattle Gobbler is considered by many to be one of the easiest bosses in the entire game. Fortunately for us, the Wattle Gobbler actually provides a decent amount of experience once defeated, and provided you defeat some of the other tribute fighters that spawn along with it, you can actually net some fairly decent experience from them as well. Plus, what's also nice is that you can farm the chests that are located just behind the Gobbler and the area with the hole that leads back to Mr. Torg. So you can kill two birds with one stone in that sense. Especially if you're looking for some decent E-Tech or purple rarity gear that scales to your level in Ultimate Vault Hunter mode. The only downside is that you're going to need DLC to access this location. However, if you're on PS4 or Xbox One and you have the Handsome Collection version of the game, you shouldn't have to worry about purchasing any DLC, as all of the DLC is included. Number 6. TINDER SNOWFLAKE. As I mentioned earlier with the Wattle Gobbler, farming bosses is generally a great way to gain XP whether you're playing solo or co-op. However, unlike most bosses, which can be semi-difficult to take down, TINDER SNOWFLAKE is pretty much a pushover that awards a fairly decent amount of experience. In fact, as you can see on my level 63 to 64 Siren here, defeating TINDER SNOWFLAKE awards about 20,000 XP, which is pretty decent, all things considered. The best part though, and the reason I rank this a little higher than the Wattle Gobbler boss, is because of the chest farm you can do after TINDER SNOWFLAKE has been defeated. Maybe it's just me, but I usually find some decent purples, E-Techs, and occasionally a few legendaries here after enough sessions, making TINDER SNOWFLAKE a great source of experience as well as great loot. Compared to the Wattle Gobbler, the loot here is a little better. However, the speed at which you can rapidly farm TINDER SNOWFLAKE, I would say, is a little slower. However, if you're looking for good gear and decent XP increases, this is somewhere you should definitely farm. Now, you will need the Marcus Mercenary Headhunter Pack DLC in order to access this area. However, of the 5 or so Headhunter packs, this is probably one of the better ones, so if you don't have this DLC, I would say you should consider picking it up. Number 5. VARKID MORPHPODS. Another great and somewhat surprising source of experience are VARKID MORPHPODS, which can be found anywhere where larval Varkids spawn. Typically, I prefer either Tundra Express or the Caustic Caverns. However, again, you can farm VARKID MORPHPODS wherever larval Varkids spawn. What's great about popping or defeating these VARKID MORPHPODS is that they can attack back, they have fairly low defense, and they award an impressive amount of experience. In fact, I've found that at around level 11 to 13, I could get VARKID MORPHPODS to yield roughly 5 times the experience regular larval Varkids do. And at the higher levels of UVHM, I've found that these same pods can yield about 1,000 experience each per kill, which is pretty impressive. And, as you might expect, the higher level evolutions yield more experience, so if you defeat an adult Varkid that's transforming into a badass, you're going to be awarded substantially more experience than if you defeated a larval Varkid that's transforming into an adult. So, while more involved and a little more dangerous than some of the other farming methods that I've gone over so far, the payoffs here can be worth it, and I recommend you either run Tundra Express or the Caustic Caverns. Though Caustic Caverns may be a little bit better, as their enemies tend to scale more with the player's level in some of the earlier difficulties. Number 4. Bad Maw. I've got to admit that this is another one that surprised me. Despite being a pretty trivial mini-boss that can occasionally drop Iridium, Badmaw is actually a pretty decent source of experience and can be farmed very rapidly, provided that you approach him from Bloodshot Stronghold. All you have to do is fast travel to Bloodshot Stronghold, exit through the entrance to Bloodshot Stronghold, and then just kind of mow him down with gunfire, save and quit, and then re-enter a game, and you should be able to just repeatedly farm him over and over again for some easy experience points. As you can see from the gameplay I'm showing here, I'm getting about 5,000 XP per farm, which isn't an insane number, but is pretty decent when you consider how easy he is to defeat and how quickly you could potentially respawn to farm him again. Assuming you were able to kill him once or twice a minute, you could potentially level up fairly fast and with minimal effort by yourself. Obviously, you'll probably get the best results this way on Ultimate Vault Hunter mode, however, normal and true Vault Hunter mode may yield decent XP as well, provided your level is close to Badmaw's. Regardless of difficulty though, you may find this is a decent place to farm in the early game. Number 3. The Badlands Trio. While I wouldn't necessarily recommend this route for the faint of heart, it is worth mentioning that Bonehead 2.0, Saturn, and the badass constructor that can spawn in this area all drop impressive amounts of experience for the player. Generally, I like to take out Bonehead 2.0 first, and then work my way towards Saturn, take him out, and then go after the badass constructor that spawns on the roadway on top. This way, I can get a pretty decent amount of XP per run, whether I'm playing in a solo or cooperative setting. Now, the one enemy you're going to have trouble with here is Saturn. After all, Saturn can't be slagged, nor can you actually crit him, making him fairly difficult to take down. However, if you have Maya's Cloud Kill, or if you can just overpower him with Salvador's Money Shot, you shouldn't have too many problems. So, ultimately, Saturn is the reason I would say that this particular farming method isn't really for the faint of heart. Even still though, farming these 3 enemies is a great way to earn experience, and the best part is it doesn't require any DLC. So if that's a concern, you should definitely try this run, provided you're close to these enemies in level. Number 2. Mighty Morphin VARKIDs. Now, you may be interested to know that there's actually a superior method for earning experience than popping VARKID morphing pods, and that is through the Mighty Morphin side quest. Now, normally, what you're supposed to do during this quest is inject the pods with the serum that Sir Hammerlock gives you, then kill the mutated VARKIDs that spawn to obtain these mutated VARKID samples. However, instead of obtaining the mutated VARKID samples like you're supposed to, what you can do is keep injecting other larval VARKID morph pods to spawn these mutated VARKIDs, and then kill mutated VARKIDs for a decent amount of experience. Now, I believe you will need to collect at least the first sample in order to inject other VARKIDs. However, afterwards, you can simply just inject as many VARKIDs as you want, and then defeat all of the mutated VARKIDs for a crap ton of XP. As you're seeing from the gameplay here, I'm getting about 5,000 per kill, which is considerable, and will allow you to potentially level up very quickly. So if you're looking for a decent XP boost, especially in Ultimate Vault Hunter mode, and you want to avoid Saturn, and you don't want to buy any DLC, you may like this particular method. Just be careful not to pick up these VARKID samples though, as you will lose the ability to inject other VARKID pods if you end up collecting all 4 of those VARKID samples. And to no one's surprise, number 1, PYRO bar. So there's a good chance that you know about PYRO bar, as it's probably one of the best and most popular ways to farm experience in Borderlands 2 for a variety of reasons. First, PYRO bar is a small enclosed space, making it perfect for spamming the Norfleet to get quick kills. Second, the Barroom Blitz side quest is repeatable, and if you can kill all of the badass enemies fast enough, you can turn the quest in for additional experience. And finally, you can come here to obtain Torg tokens, which also allows you to purchase some great Torg legendary weapons like the Unkempt Herald, Flacker, Nukem, and even the Kerblaster. It's also worth mentioning that this area is quite popular due to its close proximity to the PYRO raid boss. If you're with a party, you can simply switch from farming the Barroom Blitz side quest and enemies to farming Pyro Pete for legendaries and vice versa, making this a great location for cooperative players that want to try and farm for legendaries and or get boosted by their friends. I will admit that things can get pretty tedious when doing the Barroom Blitz mission over and over again, and you do have to have the Torg DLC in order to take advantage of this quest. However, that's why I'd recommend you try the other farming methods I've listed so far, as these can make farming feel a lot more fresh. But if you're needing to farm some experience or do a raid, this is a great and possibly the best place to go. And who knows, maybe you'll make a few friends in the process. Alright guys, I think that's going to wrap up this particular video. If I missed your personal favorite XP farming location, feel free to leave it in the comments section below. But otherwise guys, like this video if you liked it, click the bell so you can be notified when I upload more videos, and as always, thank you all so much for supporting the channel, take care, and I'll see y'all in the next one.